Welcome back to my channel. Hi guys, what's up? Hope everybody's having a great day today. And I don't know what's on your agenda, but on mine, I've been debating on whether or not to pop outside for a while. And I think since I need a couple more tubes of toothpaste, I use 3 different toothpastes every day. I need to get out there and pick them up because I didn't find them the other day. And so, I don't know. Other than that, I may pop in to look at some more tiles at a different place. And other than that, that's about it. If it's very cold, I will just pick up, my necessities and come back home. But anyway, it doesn't look like much of a day out there, although it is not snowing anymore. It was snowing this morning, so I had figured I wouldn't be going anywhere, but it seems to have stopped, so I might as well get out there and, get a little air. Hopefully it's not freezing air like it was yesterday. That was too cold for me. I had to come right back home. Anyway, guys, I will see you on the road. And if you have any other ideas or suggestions or comments as to what content or what cases you might want me to review, I would be happy to look them over and see what I can dig up on my own. Other than that, everything is just hunky-dory, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So I'm not going to be very long, but I will take you inside with me just for the sheer fun of it. And I probably will go through some more aisles just out of pure curiosity, but I only really need makeup wipes and toothpaste, so there's no reason for me to overspend. Anyway, I'll see you inside. Hi guys, I've been thinking that I may do the lemonade cleanse one more time, maybe a little sooner than I had first planned. I planned to do it sometime in May, June, but I may do it before simply because, I had animal protein and my stomach feels so heavy and it feels like I have a ton of bricks in there. I don't feel right? Although I'm feeling good, but my stomach is feeling really heavy. Um, I still get hungry from time to time, but still, you know what I'm talking about? So I think it's all a matter of me getting into the right mindset because the lemonade cleanse is really, you have to get it right. You have to get it perfect or it won't work. Or it won't work properly. So what I'm saying is I have to really be well organized and prepared. I have to buy something like 65 lemons, and I will probably do the whole 10-day stint because it's not that bad. Um, the saltwater flush is not my favorite part at all, but everything else is basically easy enough if you have all the ingredients. Um, So I'm wondering if I should, you know, let this week go by, maybe go back to the stout solution, and then, you know, basically start from there. I'll have to see how I'm feeling. Um, the thing is that I don't have a whole lot of food in my refrigerator right now. I have potatoes, and I know that if I wait another 2 weeks, and start right away. I have too many potatoes that are going to go bad. They were already going bad when I purchased them. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to try to get into this week, and then I will see about starting the cleanse. And so, if you see me buying scads and scads of lemons, you'll know. So anyway, guys, that's about it for now. There are a couple of other things that I'm going to be mentioning later on, but I'm going to first be going to the dollar store and see if I can pick up those items that I need, and then I'll take it from there. So they didn't have the gum therapy toothpaste, which is what I really, really need, and I've been advised to use. So I think I'll check out one more place. I know that the drugstore doesn't have it at the moment. I could go to Walmart. I do need one flavor of cat food anyway, so I could go to Walmart. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I wanted to mention again, now that we're sort of in between cases in discussion, remember when I was saying about the Madeleine McCann case and how all those false sightings never led to anything? It was unbelievable. And to this day, there's no actual sighting that we can definitely count on. The Tanner Man sighting was already checked out to be another little girl. So no sighting at all. How can that be, guys? Now I know that the Algarve, where the McCanns were vacationing in Portugal, is very famous for all those little fishing boats and fishermen. And you know what? I always sensed that Maddie's disappearance might have had something to do with the water because they're surrounded by water. That resort is surrounded by water. And so it's not a matter of coincidence. I think it's key to the entire thing. Even if she's no longer in Portugal, very definitely she would have had to, dead or alive, cross by water somewhere. You know what I'm saying? She was definitely not on any flight. Not that we can be sure of. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened to her. But I very definitely sensed that it had something to do with the water. So there you go. It's okay. Comparing it to, say, Livia and Alessia Shep, there were no sightings after they were seen at the ferry with their father. There were no sightings of them anywhere. There has been one possible similarity with a sighting in Canada recently, like I think maybe 2014, 2017, something like that. I haven't really looked at it, but there was only one. You see the difference? Even if we're talking about Christinejessop, she went missing for 2 months before they found her. 3 months. October, November, December. 3 months. So, the car was coming in my lane from the opposite direction. What I'm saying is that there were no sightings of Christine either before she turned up. So what I'm saying is, why all those fake sightings of Madeleine McCann? I don't understand it. Although a great many of them did resemble Maddie, but they were the wrong age, the wrong hair color, like they didn't really match Maddie, the wrong height, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Anyway, we are in the middle of discussing all these missing child cases that were either found or have still been declared missing. And so I think tonight I'm going to talk about a little bit about the psychological profile of a child abuser. And although many classical definitions of a child abuser don't necessarily include their own child abuse, I would tend to disagree with that, largely because, number one, when you're interviewing a child abuser about their own child abuse, think of it logically. They don't see what they did as child abuse. So how can they, when they're answering, yes, I was abused, no, I wasn't abused, how can they correctly answer and respond? This is something that scholars do not take into consideration when they're trying to classify a legal definition of a child abuser. No child abuser is going to admit that what was done to them and what they do to children is child abuse. So they're going to say, no, I wasn't abused as a child. They won't admit it because it's too painful for them or because they just are not aware. And this is one of the reasons why a child abuser, in that sense, I'm not saying just being nasty to a child persistently or verbally abusing them, although that's a big part of it. Physical spanking. I'm talking about what was done to Christine, what was done to Alison Perot, what was done to very likely Nicolemorin, because Nicolemorin, when the children heard a child screaming, it wasn't that afternoon, guys. I had it wrong. In Nicolemorin's case, a child was screaming 2 days after she went missing, and they immediately called the police, and nothing was discovered. How could that be? Even if it wasn't Nicole, they would have found something. You know what I mean? How can that be? How can that be? Unless it was someone involved in construction and knew how to dig up the ground, had a special mechanism to dig up the ground. My mind is going there because it's not possible for a child to have been screaming in that point, in that area, and no DNA has ever been found. It's not possible. So I'm wondering if there's another cover up there. You know what I mean? Because these condos where all these service people work, a lot of them are connected to terrorism. Unbeknown to anybody, a lot of them, the workers themselves, they have a big resource of money. And I would say in the 1980s, this would have been in its infancy. If it was connected to terrorism and human trafficking ring, which is what happened to all these little girls, they were all trafficked, whether they left the country or not. They were all trafficked. So there's big money to be made there for these people who go looking for children in all these luxurious homes and high rises. That's what they do. They're traffickers. And they traffic to all those countries that I mentioned. I'm going to go over the list one more time with you. So guys, the key countries, if you're missing a child, or if we know of any child that's missing and they haven't been found yet in any conditions, the countries are India, Nepal, China, Russia, the Congo, the sub-Saharan African region, Ghana, and there were a few others. I probably didn't get to mention them all, and I'll go over the list one more time with you guys, just so that you're all aware of where one of the most obvious places to start looking would be. I believe another one would have been Afghanistan, Iran. Okay, so they're all coming back to me now. Those are the major countries. Oh, the Philippines. The Philippines is a big one. So Singapore would be the city where all human traffickers find a great deal of money to make. And, you know, that's how it is. I don't know why human trafficking in this day and age is still going on, whether it be for labor or anything, or just child snatching or whatever have you. It shouldn't be going on. There's no reason for it. Just because it makes money, that doesn't mean you have to do it. Find something else to do, right? You know, just like drug dealing and child trafficking and human trafficking, they all are connected. They are all connected. And so what I'm saying is, if drug traffickers and human traffickers are so enamored with the idea of snatching people to make a bundle and dealing drugs, why don't they go into pharmaceuticals? They have the basic knowledge for that. Turn it into something positive. It just baffles me why so many people turn to crime and nobody gets caught, hardly anybody. Only 7% of all cases actually are found guilty. 7! That's horrific. Why is the world so big on human trafficking? And why is it so hard to crack down on? It shouldn't be like that. Not enough things are getting reported. People don't know what they're looking at when they see it. That's the thing. Well, guys, it's starting to snow. Wouldn't you know it? But I'm basically done. I have what I need, and I don't feel right unless I use all three toothpastes or at least two of them every day. And once you're used to something, it's hard to change. So I've been doing this for about 3 years now, and so my gum and tooth health have both improved. And so, of course, I have a good dental surgeon as well. And I go there regularly to get my teeth cleaned. And so, thank God that I found him, because the other dentists I have been going to were very, like, I don't know, not, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't know them well enough, but this one is a really top-notch dentist, and so I think I'll stick with him. Anyway, homeward. I'm going home. By the way, this will probably basically end my pizza making for at least a while, because I want to start preparing my stomach for a lemonade cleanse, whether I do it soon or whether I do it in the summer or in the spring, whatever. I do need to start to lighten up my stomach a little, because it doesn't feel right. Every time I sit down, I feel like a sack of potatoes, and I'm sure I look like one by now too. But it just doesn't feel right. So I think I'll be juicing a lot more and having more soups like I made the other night. So no cooking unless it's a soup. I know it's going to be a lot less interesting without pizza and all these delicious things. I may make some concoctions with tofu, but that's about it. Anyway, let's go home. Hi, everybody. I'm back home, and I have a little haul to show you. It's not much, but I did get the things that I needed. Also, a couple of things that I've been looking for a little while now. And so let me switch the view and I'll show you. So I remember seeing these at the Dollarama, maybe about a month ago now. And I could never figure out which Dollarama had it. And wouldn't you know it was at the one that I'd seen out of town, and I didn't pick it up that day. And so, as far as I know, this is the only store that actually carries it. I probably am wrong about that. It's just that, when you go to so many different Dollaramas, you can't remember what they all carry and what they all don't. And so this is the bathroom rug that I was looking for guys, way back in the fall. This is the color that I could not find no matter where I looked. I went everywhere for it. And so I ended up choosing a darker color, but I do have another use for it. I remember telling myself I'll buy the darker one, and if I find the lighter color for my bathroom, I will put the darker one elsewhere because I have a use for it. So anyway, guys, I love this design because it's nice and soft and you can just throw it in a wash. It's perfect. It's just perfect. And I did find my toothpaste, both of them. There you go. Those are both of them. And I got my makeup wipes and a package of gel pens. And all together, that came to $20.06. And that is my little Dollarama haul. So, I've been finding myself thinking a lot about the little girl who lost her life in 1984. I don't know why she has more of a presence in this series of cases that I'm describing. She has more of a presence than the other children do. I don't know what it is. I think I find myself wanting to go and visit her grave, talk to people that she might have known. Her parents are both quite elderly right now. And I remember that year, things were getting incredibly dangerous in my city as well. She lived on the outskirts of my city. And so I probably drive by it. It's not far from where I shop sometimes. I do have various townships in which I shop, but it's just unnerving that she's become a part of the landscape almost. Her story, I should say, her story has become a part of the landscape, just like Nicolemorin's environment is part of my landscape as well. Where she went missing, where she might have been abducted and taken to other surroundings where her condo was. They are very much a part of our everyday urban life. And it's unbelievable that I could have such fond memories of some of these places, especially the next case that I'm going to discuss in a day or so, the case of Allison Perot, Varsity Stadium. It's really unnerving to think that such a horrible, horrible crime could have taken place right near. Well, we don't know if she was actually murdered at Varsity Stadium or if the killer took her to the Humber River Park and did it there. We're going to get into that, but I don't know exactly where she was murdered. Those details are not published, but my beautiful landscape is littered with horrible, horrific crime, and it's a very unnerving feeling to have your fondest memories pierced by such horrible truths. Now I know what people say when they talk about disassociation. It doesn't feel real. These stories are absolutely, to me, very terrifying. I can't imagine what they went through. everybody, I'm back. And so before we start our little discussion on the psychological profile of a child abuser, I wanted to mention that the case of Nicolemorin has not yet been solved, although there is good reason to assume, and it's still under investigation, that calvinhoover may have likely done the same thing with her. It happened a year after christinejessop's murder, and he may have put her body in the same area. That's creepy. And so actually the first of a series of murders, which were all solved except for the one of Nicolemorin, all by different men. What the first one in 1983 was Sharonmorningstarkeenan, and then christinejessop, 1984, and then Nicolemorin, 1985, and then Alison Perot, 1986, all in consecutive years, and it's so creepy. And so let's get on with the sketch. Child abuser is usually, well, male or female, usually pretty popular with both children and adults, and will be appear to be very trustworthy and reliable, very respectable, has a good standing in the community, usually a pretty good job or one that allows for access to children or to the institutions in which a child could be frequenting, say for instance, a school or a hospital or a learning academy, a summer camp, a sports camp, something like that. And so the adult will prefer the company of children. They will feel more comfortable with children than adults, and will also be mainly attracted to preteen boys and girls. Their own orientation could be one of many. It's hard to tell. So usually they're not that related. So whatever they appear to be, it could be a front, so you'll never know for sure. And so they are in the habit of grooming children by spending quality time with them, playing games, video games, going to parties and sporting events, and gifts, buying the child gifts or McDonald's or giving them money. Money is a big one. There could be some labor trafficking involved as well, but money is a big one. They usually single out children who are troubled or going through a rough patch or in need of attention or affection. It could be that there's a situation going on at home, or a death in a family, or an illness in a family, or something, maybe a divorce, a pregnancy at home. You know what I mean? Something that the child will be retaliating from maybe, or feel out of sorts with. And so just like Nicole and Christine that day, on those given days, that they weren't from bad homes at all, but just, on those given days, they were a little lost. The abuser will often marry a person with children from a previous marriage, and usually that person's children are the preferred age of the abuser. And look at calvinhoover. So he married Heather, who had 2 sons, and then they went on to have 2 more sons. So he rarely will force, or she rarely will force or coerce a child into intimate contact. But usually the child's trust is gained gradually through friendship and fun and events and whatever have you. Physical contact is very gradual and very subtle. It can be anything. And there was a man that used to come to my dad's store every day looking for me. And he was a great pal. He and his wife were great pals with my mom and dad. It was awful, guys. He used to chase me around the store. And then when he caught me, he would grab me and start kissing me, like right here. Oh, God. I think I finally gave in and kicked him one day. So he gets gratification in a number of ways. For some people, just looking or being near a child is enough. Okay, that's weird. And then for others, they need to take pictures and watch them constantly. You know what I mean? I think that's what we had going on with Maddie McCann. Somebody was constantly watching her and tailing her. People had noticed men around the apartment in the days before she went missing. I don't know. I'm just saying. She finds different ways and places to be alone with children. And actually, besides taking pictures and watching, others still need that physical contact, like Hoover. And boy, did he get his contact. They find different ways and different places to be alone with children. They come up with different excuses. Let's use Hoover again. He probably drove up to her house, waited for her to get back to the store. She was supposed to be meeting a friend, just like Nicole. I think that Hoover got rid of the friend, did something, maybe told the friend to take a hike. She's got to go and see her dad. And so he probably waited for Christine and said, hop in the car, sweetheart, we're going to see Daddy. Because she really wanted to see her father in prison. And so, anyway, they do find ways, no matter how creepy and weird it is, to be alone with children. And so they are primarily, but not always, male. Some of them are female. They're very masculine or feminine, and they're very well educated and quite a bit more religious than average, which will drive me up a wall. So usually they're in their 30s and they choose jobs that allow them to have access to children. And usually they are family people, moms, dads, and with no criminal record. And they will always deny that they abuse children, because I don't think that they are capable of knowing what abuse is due to their own abusive childhoods that they had. You know what I'm saying? Even if they're in rehab or have been convicted, they don't see it. So that's why an offender can never be completely cured. They don't see themselves as troubled. They like what they do. And so a troubled marriage is, usually it's dysfunctional, because guess what? The wife or the husband is not a child. So it's a smokescreen for the pedophile's real preferences. So anyway, so they're usually a victim of child abuse. And even if the pedophile has no children, his home will be filled with toys, books, games, computers, bikes, playground equipment, skateboards, to attract whatever age of the child he prefers. And so that's how it goes, guys. That's how it goes. A female pedophile usually abuses a child along with a male, like a husband, who is also like that. And it's very creepy and sickening for me to think of. So usually females who abuse children are quite definitely victims of chronic child abuse. And so a pedophile acts either independently or is involved in organized crime, human trafficking, drug trafficking. So some pedophiles recognize their behavior is unacceptable, immoral, and not cool. And so they still can't stop. They operate in secrecy. Others are open and militant and political and authoritative. And they advocate for the normalization of getting these kids under contract like slaves. And that's ridiculous. Very ridiculous guises of freedom of speech. That's why we can do this. That has nothing to do with freedom. That's slavery. And you have to be really racist deep down. Maybe not in a classical sense, but really, really racist and discriminatory to go along with something like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Children are supposed to be free and not enslaved. I don't know. I think these people really believe what they say, but I don't buy any of it, and I never will. So the abuse patterns is that the pedophile will not be able to stop, will not turn himself in, because if he does, he will not take responsibility for his behavior, and he will still deny, or she will still deny, that anything has been done wrong or any harm has come of it. Poor Christine, right? Poor Nicole. He will or she will continue to abuse, and even when he's caught, he will not be able to stop. A child will not be able to recognize the abuse because of its gradual speed. And maybe, you know, Hoover was doing something at home when they babysat, and she didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? But I think it could have made her uncomfortable, and she might have retaliated. Anyway, he or she will be a sadist. And, you know, unless he is not, he will not have to threaten. You know what I mean? Unless he is a sadist, and I think this is what happened with Hoover. Unless he is a real sadist, he will not have to, you know, threaten or pester the child. You know what I'm saying? Gifts and secrecy and friendship are good enough to keep the child close so that he doesn't spill the beans. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes threats, like I'm going to put your parents in jail if you tell anybody. Maybe that's Bob was in jail, right? I'm going to kill your pet. You know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So the message is that pedophiles cannot change, especially on their own. Even if they come to realize that what they're doing is horrific, they can't seem to stop. There's no rehabilitation, because once that abuse is in you from your childhood, you don't know. I don't know. I can't begin to understand it, so I'm not going to pretend to explain it. It's sad. It's really sad. So, but guys, what I want you to remember is this. People who work with children are professionals. They're not sadists. They're not child abusers. Sure, maybe the odd person or the janitor or at summer camp. I don't know. I've heard stories. But don't, you know, let your child go to school with that feeling that all the teachers and adults there are child abusers. That's not the case. So, you know, you have to really focus on what's real. I know that if I were a parent, I could not cope with that tension. No, I couldn't. Anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this discussion. I hope that you've learned a little something. And thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.